In this complete guide, you'll learn exactly how to set up your Trello boards for client work, from structuring your workspace to building actionable cards that keep projects moving. Trello is one of the most flexible project management tools out there, and when you set it up the right way, it becomes a powerful hub for managing client relationships, deadlines, and deliverables without the chaos of endless email threads. If you find this helpful, please like and subscribe, and let's get started. First, let's talk about how to set up your board architecture, because this is where most people go wrong. You want to create a unique Trello workspace for each of your major clients. Think of a workspace as a container that holds all the boards, members, and permissions for a single client. This prevents sensitive documents from mixing across different projects and makes it incredibly easy to invite the client to their own specific hub without giving them access to anything else. Within that workspace, you then create a board that's tailored to their specific project, something like website redesign or Q4 marketing campaign. A common pitfall here is putting multiple clients into one workspace or using a single board for everything. That leads to confusion and privacy issues down the line. Now, within each board, the smartest first step is to create a list called something like Info Hub or Reference. This list acts as an information center. You'll pin cards there that contain links to shared folders, client branding guidelines, login credentials, and communication rules. I recommend making these cards easy to spot by using a distinctive label or even pinning the list to the top of the board. This way, anyone new to the project can get up to speed in seconds without having to ask you questions. Once your foundation is solid, it's time to design your workflow lists. This is where you structure the board's lists to represent the natural timeline of your work, so progress is obvious at a glance. Start with a list called To Do or Backlog. This is where you place upcoming tasks that have been approved but not yet started. Think of it as your holding area for everything that's been greenlit and is waiting for attention. Next, create a list called In Progress. This is the work you or your team are actively tackling today. Keeping this list lean and focused is a best practice. If you see too many cards here, it's a sign you're overcommitting. Then, add a list called Blocked or Waiting on Client. This is crucial because it makes dependencies visible. Any task that cannot move forward until you receive feedback, assets, or approval goes here. It's a gentle reminder to both you and the client that something is stuck. After that, create a Ready for Review list. This is for completed work that's awaiting the client's approval. And finally, a Done or Archived list for finished project milestones. Some teams prefer to archive completed cards instead, but I find having a visible Done list is satisfying and helps with reporting. The important thing is to keep these lists in order from left to right, so anyone looking at the board can instantly see the status of every task. Now let's get into building actionable cards, because the quality of your cards determines how smoothly your project runs. Start with clear task titles. Use verbs instead of vague nouns. For example, instead of naming a card blog, name it Draft Blog Post Outline. The verb tells you exactly what action needs to happen, which removes ambiguity. That small shift makes a huge difference when you're scanning the board. Next, use checklists within each card to break larger deliverables into smaller subtasks. Let's say the card is Draft Blog Post Outline. Your checklist might include items like Research, Outline, First Draft, and Edit. Checking off these subtasks gives you a sense of progress and helps you track where you are without having to open multiple documents. Checklists are also great for delegating. You can assign individual checklist items to different team members if needed. Then, make use of color-coded labels. Labels are one of Trello's most powerful features because they let you categorize tasks at a glance. You can create labels for priority levels like urgent versus low, for departments like design versus copywriting, or even for payment and invoice status. I recommend keeping your label system simple. No more than 5 or 6 colors, so it doesn't become overwhelming. A common mistake is using too many labels or making them too specific, which defeats the purpose of quick visual scanning. Finally, optimize for collaboration and deadlines. Assign specific Trello due dates to all active tasks. This triggers notifications and keeps the entire team aware of upcoming deadlines. When you set a due date, Trello will send reminders, and the card will show a countdown, which creates healthy accountability. Make it a habit to set due dates immediately when you create a card. Then, use the comments and attachments features to keep conversations and file assets directly on the relevant task card. Instead of digging through long email threads to find that one attachment or feedback note, everything lives right where the work happens. This is especially powerful when a client asks for changes. You can tag them in a comment, attach a revised file, and the entire history is preserved in one place. A best practice here is to avoid using the card description for ongoing conversation. Use comments instead, because comments are time-stamped and can be searched. And always encourage your clients to communicate through card comments rather than email. It takes a little training at first, but once they see how much easier it is to track, they'll thank you. To wrap things up, you've now set up a Trello board architecture that keeps client work organized, designed a workflow that makes progress obvious, built actionable cards with clear titles and checklists, and optimized for collaboration with due dates and in-card communication. The real benefit here is that you spend less time hunting for information and more time actually doing the work. As a next step, I'd recommend creating a template board for your most common project types so you can duplicate it for every new client in seconds. Thanks for sticking with me through this guide. If you found it useful, consider saving this video so you can revisit these steps anytime you set up a new board.